Hey, what up everybody, this y'all shorty Rachel, and today I'm making this video to help those that don't know me understand my story, to help them understand the reason why I came up with the idea to put cameras in all of these classrooms, in each and every one of these schools. I don't know how to really put all of this into words, so I'm going to say this the best way that I can. I really don't know where to start, so I'm going to start from the very beginning. I'm going to tell y'all as much as possible in a short amount of time. See, in 2006, God blessed me with the most wonderful gift that He could ever bless anybody with. My firstborn son. When I first had him, I didn't know what to do. I was scared. I was nervous. But I learned. I learned how to do so many things with my son. I didn't know how to be a mother in the beginning, but my son taught me. In 2009, my son was diagnosed with ADHD, with the possibility of him having autism, but it was hard to tell. He graduated from the PAC program in NHS, which is now called racheal, which is located on Lehigh. In 2010, he started first grade in Alexander McClure, which is located in Hunting Park in North Philadelphia. So mind you, when my son graduated the PAC program, they gave him an IEP and a certificate. When I went to McClure to register him, I gave him all the paperwork that the PAC program gave me. I was 21 at the time and learning about his condition, but I was still doing my job. My son was still going to therapy. Me as a mother doing what I have to do. Mind you, the whole time I'm thinking that my son was already in special ed. McClure didn't tell me that I had to do certain paperwork. Blah, blah, blah. I found out later on my own. I did what I had to do as a parent to get him the services that he had. Second grade, third grade, my son started getting bullied, picked on in school. This would have been around 2011 and 2012. I started making complaints in the school. Nothing got really done. Yes, I was young. I was ignorant. I didn't know that a lot of stuff had to be written. But when I did learn, I started doing it like that. 2013, his father passes away. The school knows about it. My son is still getting therapy. I'm thinking that the medication is making it worse, so I'm really suggesting that we should ease him off the medication. Therapy. The therapist and I was trying to figure out how to help Berwin in lots of ways, but the school wasn't making it any easier. 2014, I asked if the best solution would have been to homeschool my son, and the school said no. They suggested STS, blah, 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 and everything started getting prepared. The school knew that my son was getting therapy for his ADHD. He was getting medication. He wasn't allowed in school if he wasn't medicated. So here's my thing. I did everything that I had to do as a parent. My son was not a troublemaker. Y'all put yourselves in your kids' shoes. Imagine getting picked on every day and nobody doing nothing about it. Well, like I said, 2014, after his dad's death and everything, my son didn't know how to deal with certain situations. Therapists thought that he could really be in the autism spectrum. We was really trying to get the diagnosis. I was trying to get my son homeschooled. 2015 came. My son's still getting picked on. The only one getting blamed for everything that happened in the school. So one day, he just snapped and he lashed out on the whole school, started saying stuff that a kid his age shouldn't say. But he was so raged out that even when I took him to Fairmount Hospital, my son voluntarily put himself away because he felt as though that the world was against him. Nobody cared about him. That he was better off gone. Not realizing that I did care. I was listening. I was trying to help him. but I was pinned between a nail and a wall. How do I help my son? What do I do? Who do I turn to? Who do you turn to when you hear your son say that everybody hates him, that nobody cares about him? I felt his pain as a mother, and me not knowing what to do or how I could help him made me come up with this idea. A year later, 2 years later, for the simple fact I'm about to get into that. Mind you, this was 2015. 2016 came. I was trying to get my son into homeschool. Finally, I came across Agora Cyber Charter School. They was trying to get him into it, but the school once again was trying to get me to have him still stay in a public school, trying to get him with STS services, knowing that it wasn't working. It's my son's life on the line right here. He needed more help. He needed more services. Him at home, he could have gotten a behavior specialist, a TSS, everything that he needed. But did the school care? No. Here comes the incident that really, really made me come with the idea of putting cameras in the schools. October 2017. We was getting a little progress with my son. He's in the gym room. In a room full of so many students, my son goes up to his gym teacher 3 times telling her that this little girl is bothering him. The 3rd time, right in front of the teacher's desk, my son snaps. Now, mind you that before this incident, we was making progress with my son. If this teacher would have did what she had to do, this whole incident in the school would have been prevented. So when my son lashes out, he ends up hitting this girl 3 times. My son was wrong for hitting the girl, yes. But it's only but so much that you could do when you're pinned between a nail and a wall. And I never condone to that. This teacher should have called STS when my son needed it. She should have gave him some space. My son went up to her 3 times. And everybody in that school knows everything that we've been doing to get my son to where he was at that moment. Let's try to get him to speak up when somebody's bothering him and not act out on his emotions. So, mind you that when my son comes and he reacts and hits the girl 3 times, instead of getting security or getting some help or de-escalating the situation, the first thing this teacher does is grip my son up. She grips my son up, calls him crazy, pushes him against the wall, then drags him out of the classroom. My son doesn't react until after that. He ends up hitting the teacher. Why, instead of getting security or restraining my son the right way, she ends up in a whole fist fight with my son like they're 2 grown men. And then lies on my son, because her story and the principal's story is so different from the STS story and the kids. If she would have called STS from the very beginning and my son gave her the first complaint, the whole situation would have been avoided because his one-on-one would have been downstairs. But she really didn't. And then she took matters into her own hand. Y'all tell me, as parents, if this was your son in this situation, what would y'all do? Y'all tell me. At that moment, I was in an appointment with my daughter, my newborn daughter, my baby, my newborn baby. And I couldn't make it right away, but my kid's godfather is the emergency contact, and he was there. The principal and the teacher both said they couldn't get in contact with me, but they was able to get in contact with the godfather. They wasn't able supposedly to get in contact with nobody, but the godfather made it there. Y'all lied to the godfather. He was trying to get him out, to get him to the therapist, to get him into the hospital, because he knew what the situation was. He had spoke to my son when he got there, and my son explained to him And the same thing he said to everybody there, he said to me, and he said to everybody when he came home, the therapist, everybody. My son is a victim of getting bullied. And if there was cameras in that gym room and in them classrooms, we would have been able to see what happened. At the end of the day, the school broke IEP protocol. Mind you, that same day, they forced transferred my son to another school. What does that tell you? My son suffers from ADHD, and there was a possibility that he could have been autistic. Mind you, that after all this court case and everything, he got diagnosed through the Center of Autism because he got pushed to the top of the list because this was considered an emergency. And I am so glad that in a way it was helpful to me. But now I have to sit here and go through a lawsuit for the school. And it's not for money. I want justice for my son. And I have to find a lawyer to adjudicate my son. I will not put my son in no public school knowing that he's at risk of getting arrested for any small altercation that he has. They could arrest him. He could be behind bars. Just because he defends himself one more time? No, I'm not willing to go through that risk. I'm not. So yes, this whole situation gave me the ideas, and I think is the right thing to do. Is put these cameras in these classrooms so that we can see what happens. Why are these kids taking their lives? Are the teachers telling the truth? Y'all watch social media. Y'all watch the news. Y'all read the newspapers. Y'all have heard about these sexual harassments that happen in these schools. Y'all have heard about these teachers sleeping with our kids. Like, come on, people. It's time to wake up. Let's come together and be our kids' voice. I felt my son's pain when he tried to take his life. And when I sat here, when I took my son from jail and I picked him up the next morning, I had to take him to court. I had a court-appointed lawyer tell me that I have to tell my son to give up his rights. No. What are y'all hiding? Why does he have to give up his rights? He defended himself. If the teacher would have did what she had to do, my son wouldn't have been in this situation. Neither would have that little girl. That little girl wouldn't have been in that predicament. We have to teach our kids to not be bullies. And we have to show our kids how to defend themselves too. The school system doesn't care about our kids. We have to make a stand. There's too many of our kids with autism, ADHD, Down syndrome getting picked on and bullied. It's too many of our kids that doesn't have a diagnosis getting picked on too. There's too many of our kids getting sexually harassed in these schools and nothing is being done. These kids are taking their lives for a reason. There's too many suicides for a reason. And so many people turning to the side. So many people turning their face to the side. It's time to pay attention. It's time to wake up. I've sat here and told you a little bit of my story. Like I said, when somebody has to sit here and tell you that you're about to lose your son because he's about to be in jail for a certain amount of time, and he's going to miss his childhood, he's going to miss so much for just defending himself because the school wanted to cover their asses. Y'all did a whole forced transfer and didn't even tell me y'all did it. But my son, y'all said that my son was attending a school that he was never attending. Try to get me to sign papers that I didn't want to sign. The school tried to do me dirty, and I'm a fight for my son. I'm a mother. And I'm a woman, but I'm a mother before I'm a woman. Like, I know that the way I'm starting to say is just that so many things I want to say, but I have to be humble because I have to think about myself. But if y'all have kids and y'all been through a situation similar to mine, I suggest y'all sign this petition. I suggest y'all come together and be a voice for our youth. It's time to make a stand. When is it that y'all going to make y'all's? When y'all kid or your child, your teen ends up behind bars or in a motherfucking casket? That's when the hell y'all going to fucking wake up? Or when you yourself have to see your own son try to take their life? Or when you have to walk into a room one day and your child has taken their life because they went through something in school and you couldn't prove it or you couldn't defend your child in any way, shape, or form. Do you know how it feels to feel defenseless and not be able to help your child and watch them suffer? Something they shouldn't have to go through. Our kids matter, yo. It's time to come together.
What you're given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians and choose to be an accountant because it's safe in the business. Not